The Bitcoin price has been crashing over the weekend during Friday, and the big question is what is going on and where is it going? We are going to definitely discuss this, but there's also some new economic worries coming from the Far East that have to do with this, and we are going to talk about a lot of stuff that is going on in the NFT space, NFT drama. We are going to talk about Recur. We are going to talk about a little bit about McFarlane Toys, about Veve and Board API clubs and so on. So a lot of different things that we need to talk about, but not without our coffee. So good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Crypto Morning Coffee. And we are going to discuss all of this right after the intro. So good morning, everyone. I hope you are doing fine. I have my coffee locked and loaded, ready to go, ready to talk about from the economy down to the NFT space, the little NFT space, what is going on. And we have Motili here. Everyone here already smash up the like button. Very important to call some other people here in the chat so that they can see the video or the live stream better. And yeah, I have not managed a live stream on the last Friday because I was already traveling. I was traveling the entire weekend from south to absolutely into the north of Germany in one turn. Yesterday, in the middle of the night, I returned. I was at a wonderful wedding, so that was worth it. And I got to see a lot of my family members, so that was definitely that was absolutely worth it. But now I'm back with the morning streams, and Felipe is also here. Good morning to you, Felipe. So yeah, smash up the like button and make sure to subscribe. Tick the little bell to always get notified. And I want to thank you also, my rare hodlers, my sponsors, so to say, that are all of you that are here minted on my background screen, so to say, from this screen. And are supporting me as channel members. If you want to support this channel on a regular basis, which you are doing by watching and liking, but if you want to do more, then you can become a rare hodler, a channel member. So thank you all for that. And yeah, by the way, to Alex, who, if you see this, who is the Mickey Mouse with the 19, if you want another icon, then just let me know. But let's jump right into the stream here. So let's start out with the macro and just arrange this chat a little bit more. There we go. Evergrande, we have talked about this. So funny because we just mentioned this as one of many potential catalysts for ongoing crash situations. I think I mentioned it in the context of what we really need to have more downside for Bitcoin. So Evergrande actually filed bankruptcy. And yeah, Evergrande bankruptcy may be just the beginning of China's real estate crisis. So let's look a little bit more detailed into this. So what happened to Evergrande? The story of Evergrande's downfall began 2021 when the central government moved to curb excessive borrowing to try to slow the rise of home prices, effectively cutting off a major source of funding for property developers. Evergrande, which had 300 billion in liabilities, this is like a third of a trillion, that's crazy, couldn't shore up cash fast enough to make its debt payments. It defaulted in December 2021, triggering a market panic. A wave of defaults followed, and China's vast real estate market has yet to recover. Building was suspended, and dozens of projects, leaving many pre-sale buyers left with no new home and heavy debt burden. So yeah, in China, many people are also took out a loan to purchase one of these apartments inside of buildings which sometimes have never been finished. So what happens next as it tries to restructure billions in offshore debts has massive implications for China's financial system, because Evergrande filed Thursday for Chapter 15 bankruptcy, which is a way for foreign companies to use US bankruptcy law to restructure debt. We also saw this with foreign exchanges, foreign to US. The process will take time, as Evergrande has roughly 19 billion in offshore debt. So that's not the biggest problem, right, of the 300 billion. But Evergrande's liquidity crisis was just the beginning of the pain. Other large builders in China have since defaulted as they struggle to shore up cash, and demand for housing has fallen. Now investors around the world are watching nervously as Country Garden, which employs 300,000 people, missed 2 payments on its multi-billion-dollar debt and said it was considering various debt management measures. So apparently the dominoes are falling in this China real estate market. So also China's economy is struggling. We have covered this before. It's hard to overstate the importance of property market China. The industry accounts for as much as 30% of the country's economic activity, and more than 2/3 of household wealth is tied up in real estate. So something that is in investment strategies here in the West, first of all, not represented with 2/3, but also something that is seen as a secure strategy, right? And then also nearly 3 years of specific crisis here. Restrictions sapped China's economic growth, and consumers have been reluctant to buy new homes in the face of higher unemployment and falling property values. We have covered last week that China has stopped reporting youth unemployment, or in general unemployment rates, as it skyrocketed. And so we have to look at this with a worrying eye, let's say, because many of the growth expectations in the past have also been basically supported or argued with China's growing supply market and so on, falling prices because China's producing everything, and so we will see. Will Beijing bail out these companies? They could, but then again, they have to worry about their currency, and they say here it's unlikely. Well, Beijing has made some efforts to help jumpstart demand for housing and free up cash for developers. The days of big state-funded bailouts for bloated industries appear to be over. Xi Jinping said, "We must maintain historic patience and insist on making steady step-by-step progress." That's a non-statement to this. So it could be that these companies are really left to die. And that's something that we haven't seen anymore in the West as well, that usually when banks went bankrupt, they got government bailouts, right? So especially in Europe. So we will see. But so that is something that is worrying. On the other side, we have seen the Bitcoin crash, and that's the perspective that we should take to it, right? We can barely see it on the macro. Obviously, the bigger swings, first of all, they are interesting for entering the market, and we want to know when to enter. But there are also people that are worried, and there are many people out there that claim, because of such crashes, that the bottom is not in, that we are headed for another drawdown that will be the bottom right before the halving and so on. So if we put this in perspective, we see that nothing is really going on, and we are going to look at this in the Bitcoin chart in a second. But this is a perspective. This is the multi-year perspective with bull markets here, where the black dots are, and bear markets that we can see here. And even in the massive crash around the sea crisis here, we did not take out this low from the previous bear market. Even then, you have to see, yes, there could be economic turmoil. Yes, there could be financial crisis looming from the Far East, from Japan also, that has a lot of capital in the markets. But even this event did not bring Bitcoin to a new low. So we need to be cautious with when we are waiting with these entries, right? So then also Michael Saylor here, very interesting, posting this. Bitcoin illustrates the true cost of capital, which is the performance since August 2020. They have taken August 2020, which is basically the last run up of Bitcoin. But even then, if you take everything, you see the Nasdaq is still up from there 21%, the S&P 500 up 30%, and Bitcoin is up 120%. While gold, bonds, and silver would have netted you a negative. And that is something to consider, because we see here basically money printing, but also in general the last years they have been very good to stockholders and basically also crypto holders. Although if you are in several altcoins, you would probably here have some 60-70% candle at the moment, but not since 2020, right? Many of these altcoins are still 2, 3, 4x up from 2020, so consider that. Then let's see if this is still the case. No, it's not, but we have to see the biggest gainers and losers here of the top 300. Why? Because Ecomi is here now on the losing end a little bit, but only 4%. And Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 Inu is still pumping. So it's absolutely, we are apparently still in meme coin season, it seems. By the way, season 3 OG also here, so glad to have you here. But that is currently the situation. Let's look at this from another perspective as well. So on the day we have a little bit of a mixed altcoin market. But if we look on the week or on the month, we can see here in the top 100 right now that we have a lot of losers. I mean, Hex technically, yeah, everyone probably aware that Hex is probably rugged or something like that. Minus 60% in 1 month. But we also see that a lot of altcoins have been heavily bleeding into the market on this Bitcoin drawdown. And technically you could say that besides Rune, for example, that is pumping here, that technically besides that almost everything and Casper is up here. But everything else has been bleeding and is probably bleeding into Bitcoin. But before we are talking about Bitcoin, guys, I want to take a look with you at the Nasdaq, because this weekly view illustrates a little bit of why I have called the stream Crash or Turnaround in the title, and the return of the crisis. Because if we are looking at the Nasdaq here, and we are looking at the problem that I cannot draw, sorry. We are looking at this high here, this previous high. Not only, good, you can argue we had a downtrend here, right, that we have broken at this point, but we have broken this uptrend now, and we have done so while not taking out this high yet. So there are two perspectives to look at. The first one is we have broken this downtrend and we are collapsing now. The second perspective, and the Nasdaq, why do I talk about the Nasdaq? Because the Nasdaq is, there is a correlation visible with this crash of the Nasdaq and the crash of Bitcoin. And the Nasdaq has been crashing first, so I think it's very interesting to look at what the Nasdaq is doing, and there is a certain correlation also if you consider tech stocks and crypto. They have been played by the market makers and by the investors, Wall Street and so on, more or less in the same way. So the second way to look at this is, hey, you could argue, well, this is only a 5-wave move. Like, this was wave 3, now we are in a correction somehow, and then there is number 5, and 5 would then take out this high, right? Theoretically, it doesn't have to happen, but it could be a possibility. So interesting would be, or interesting to see would be, if you consider, for example, that this is a very confluent, let's say, support area, right here, at least with all of these supports. Then maybe there could be this 5th wave before we go into a more extended ABC correction or whatever, right? And by the way, the good thing is we have Season 3 OG here, who is with TA probably way better than I am. So he can also say, hey, patient hodler, big bullshit, or it's a possibility, right? So yeah, let me know, or let every one of you who is a little bit or is very experienced in TA, always let me know if you have additional thoughts. Another one that I think, hey Caro, what's going on? Yo, you have way too much coffee in already. Apparently, let me take a sip here. Tito is also here. Good morning, everyone. Guys, smash up the like button. We have 15 people here. So yeah, let's get this done. I wanted to discuss this with XRP because I have outlined this mega triangle, so to say, this mega pattern here forming. Actually, I've not changed anything in the lines. We have drawn this in after the pump. And the funny thing is, if you look at this, we have just in this Bitcoin move touched right back for XRP to this bottom line. So I've not changed anything here. We've just wicked back to this and got bought up and so on. So, but the room for this is running out, right? So the room for this pattern is running out, and I'm really curious to see if this is going to break to the upside and like be very crazy, violent move, or if we are going to collapse for XRP. And I think this has to do with news also, right? To see what happens with the SEC appeal to the decision and so on. Carlos says my first cup, okay. But well, then you're probably excited to talk about all of the shit show that is going on in the NFT space. But let's also look at Bitcoin. So I think for Bitcoin, we are safe. We said if we lose this trend line, more or less well drawn, probably not so good, but enough for this. If we lose this trend, there are way too many lines, so we need to clear this up now. If we lose this trend line, we said, then probably we can delete our cup and handle pattern, which we are going to do for now. So unfortunately, we do not look at this anymore for the moment. So we take out the target as well. But we are going to leave the 46,000 target for now, because maybe there's another way to get there, right? It's not all TA. We will see. Okay, but now we have lost our Bitcoin trend, right? And the big question is, where are we finding support at the moment and where we have to look at? And I think this is a relatively strong support. It represents still an uptrend. Why is this support so strong? Let's look at this first. So I've marked this as a zone because it's not 100% clear, but this zone, and maybe we are coming back down to exactly 25,000, but this zone is represented by a lot of confluence. So this zone was previous overhead resistance, and was overhead resistance before, right? We have collapsed through this zone, but then we have established this zone for a while. Yo, G-Flow, patient hodler, love your perspective. What do you think about Omi being 10? No, what is that? 10 cents, or is that 0.1 next run? We are coming to Omi in a second, but I can tell you so far the potential is definitely there. They just need to deliver. That was always the take, right? So, but yeah, so I think if we fall, if we collapse, I will answer this question in a second, G-Flow, okay? Just let me. By the way, you have a red circle. Did you just become a rare hodler? Let me know. Yo, 10 cents. Did you just subscribe, or is this someone who changed his name? Anyways, there we go. So if we lose this, I can still not draw. That is crazy. Okay, there we go. Now we are in the weekly, but it doesn't matter. There we go. If we lose this level here, maybe we can even see better. If we lose this level, yeah, that would be really bad, because that was our bear market zone that we have just broken out of. Now the fear is, and I think you can all see it, that we just look, we form this, right? So we don't want to see that. What we want to see is to find support and then put in a new high, which would be also our breakout out of this, yeah, this confluence line, right? So, but we have to see that there is a possibility to lose this level and to come back down to this area, right? 20,000, 21,000. Before that, even 24,000 is an opportunity, right? So I see this personally as buy opportunity, but it doesn't mean that we cannot come down to these levels. And that also doesn't mean if we come down, right? If we crash to, I don't know, 20,000, for example, like this zone here, that doesn't mean that we cannot put in a higher low here and establish a more macro trend. That doesn't mean all of this, but I just want to show you the options, and there are many people that just say, hey, patient hodler, or not many people, but some people say, hey, patient hodler, you say it can go either up or down. Hey, well, congrats to this massive analysis, right? Why are you even doing this? The reason is we have to see both sides, right? And that is the reality, that it can go both sides. No one knows the truth for sure, or where it's going. We can put a very educated guess here based on every information that we have, and we know that we need pretty bad news to continue to the downside, and we need to lose technical levels through these bad news. But they can happen, as you can see. There is Asia, there's more rate hikes, there is inflation in the US not coming down, and so on. So everything of that plus black swans can easily take the crypto market to their next levels. Caro says, most altcoins never go back to their old all-time high. Look at XRP. All the years of hope for this pump and dump. Hopefully Omi does not end up like XRP. So I feel we need to talk about Ecomi right now, because while it's true that many coins are not going to their all-time highs, just because, so first of all, XRP was the most suppressed and the most under attack altcoin in that space. So it doesn't mean that XRP cannot come back to an all-time high right now just because it didn't through a cycle where it was constantly under attack from the SEC. And then also where a lot of unlocks and XRP selling has been happening at the same time. The big question is, was Ecomi even at its full potential? Because there are also coins that have basically been flatlining through the previous bull market and then came only up in the last bull run. So I think it all comes down to how much fundamentals you can have, how much hype you have, and the big one is, have you been listed on exchanges? So let's go straight to Ecomi today, also because of the time. And let's look at Ecomi in the daily, if I'm allowed to, because TradingView is doing weird stuff with me here. let's look at this, and then we can also look at the 4 hourly. So maybe let's start with the smaller time frame, right? Let's start with the smallest time frame. So what we are seeing here now is that Ecomi is in some kind of a squeeze here, which is symmetrical in my opinion and can break to both sides. So again, just observe, and at any decision point, right, you can take a decision. You can say, I'm going short, I'm going long, I do nothing. So it's more this perspective. But what we cannot, I have a buy order sitting here for Ecomi, and probably it's not going to get triggered, right? If we have if I see that we are breaking out here, then maybe I just move up and buy, right? So we could technically break out of this and just go up. But there's also the reality where we can just try to hold this and collapse down, right? And this could have been easily the bottom, and you can still come back on top of this previous accumulation zone. So there was a very, very long accumulation zone here, right? We see this clearly. And Season 3 OG pointed that out as well, that he pointed that out when we were at this top end of this accumulation zone, that he is seeing a base here and that we're probably going up. So very interesting, because it happened just like he said. The volume also came back, as we have seen, as we wanted it to see. And now we're looking at this scenario here, where we are also heading. So if we break this, we are also breaking, let's say this little resistance line here. Not too strong, but we would also be breaking this. And then it all comes down to whether we really hold this or come back down. But we are observing this, and definitely, if you are. So first of all, a lot of people have been buying down here, which was ultimately then the right choice. But that doesn't mean that buying around here, if you have a breakout, is any less of a chance, right? And that brings me down to the macro. So in the macro, first of all, if you consider this big wedge, we have been breaking out since weeks out of this. But the upside potential is fairly high, right? So if we are from here and we would say we come back to an all-time high, and then we see, right, that would be a 1,300% move. With regards to what Caro says, I want to just discuss this. First of all, you want to see a previous high in the macro taken out. That you want to see in the long term, right? In the next months, you want to see this 001 range flipped. You want to see OMI back in the 001 territory, accumulating here, accumulating sideways into this range. You also want to see volume coming back and so on, because it's crucial for the rest. Now, Caro said many altcoins are not coming back. Will Ecomi be one of them? I don't think so. And this is a big if they deliver. I think if they deliver, there will be new all-time highs. Philippe B says, I think that there are less OMI holders than XRP holders, and OMI has more potential and had no real all-time high. I doubt that OMI will reach 10 cents, but 2 or 5 cents could be possible, just my opinion. So my take on this is, I think OMI will break its all-time high unless they fail to deliver into the bull run. If they fail to deliver into the bull run, they will not reach their all-time high, but they will still pump, right? Good. Next point is that how are the targets looking? So the first target is obviously this one here, which is the all-time high, right? But from there, I also agree, and I see between 2 and 5 cents also, with 2 cents being the most probable target because of the whale wallets that we have been seeing in the Ecomi token. There will be various stages of profit taking out of the whale wallets. But on the other hand, we cannot forget that there are more than 500 up to 600 exchanges out there where Ecomi is not listed, and the biggest ones of them are among them. And the moment that Ecomi proves here volume, the moment that they are bringing utility, the moment that the Ecomi price is coiling up and bringing more attention on social media, smaller exchanges and medium exchanges will start looking and listing the token. And they will do so the moment that there is bigger utility and bigger news that really ties it to the Veve app, because then they feel they can tap into this community. They will not ask for the team to list the exchange. They will just do it because they can make a killing with it. So these exchanges need to have larger wallets. So they are either they are going to buy some OMI OTC from the big wallets, or they have already been accumulating some OMI here in the bottom range. And it's always hard to believe for people that exchanges actually do this. But some of the moves of hundreds of millions of OMI could also point into the direction of smaller exchanges getting a bag, because ultimately what exchanges are doing with these coins right now is they're getting a bag right now to sell it high to the retail users that are coming into the space in the bull run. Nothing else. They're literally buying low, selling high. That is what exchanges are doing. And if they can, they buy even below these levels OTC, if they can. So yeah, I think 10 cents, I think it's not out of the realm of possibilities. It's not out of the realm of possibilities, but everything has to go right. Everything has to go right from here on to then with the exchange. I think if you have, so I think the you could easily come back before an altcoin season even is on full fire to like half a cent, right? And if you then get into this like Kraken listing, KuCoin listing, Binance listing, then yes, there is the possibility of shooting up to these levels. But there will be so heavy profit taking out of the billions and billions of OMI tokens that are locked in these wallets. Yeah, and also there is VC wallets, right? There's this company that has invested in the Ecomi token, I think, which is Blackbird. I think Blackbird is the name, but I'm not quite sure anymore. But there's some VC money also in Ecomi. But there's also Ecomi token still locked on GoChain that we will probably see then moved to ERC20 to sell. But overall, what you can, a billion in the bull run, a billion OMI is nothing in the bull run. If there will be so much retail FOMO and so on going on that, yeah, we will see. But this rounding here, let's say, makes me more bullish. And I've always said on the stream, and I want to stick to my personal fundamentals. I've always seen, I want to see this level taken out, retest, and come back up to be bullish on OMI. And it's happening right now, right? I said, and you guys, you are my testimony, and my videos are my testimony to this. I said, I am cautious while this is happening, but if we take this out, if we test back and come up here, then I'll be bullish on OMI. So I will be stick by that. And right now this is happening, so I will be bullish on OMI. Energy says, just woke up. Did I miss some? Only some Bitcoin related TA outlook. What is happening right now? Nasdaq you missed, and a little bit of two tweets and a China article. Well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the NFT space, because that's ultimately where Ecomi is tied to. So this one is a heavy hit for the NFT space, right? Because I mean, it was a little bit clear to all of us already that this is happening, but that one was a heavy hit for the market. So Recur looted 70 million US dollars off the space and decided to shut down on Friday. This is why we'll never go mainstream. And I disagree with the assessment of never going mainstream, because I think Veve is taking us mainstream. But it also shows how hard it will be to re-establish trust in the NFT space. Now, celebrities, companies, agencies, and artists. We have seen it time and time again where big names come into the space, use their reach to loot us for millions, and then vanish. This is why we can never go mainstream. So, right before I dive more into this tweet about Recur, I want to say, or about this not going mainstream, I would just want to put out the counterpoint, right? You guys remember, some of you guys remember the dot-com bubble. Most of us have been very young or children during the dot-com bubble, but you could have easily made the same statement about the internet, web presences, and Silicon Valley entrepreneurs and companies during that time of the dot-com bubble, when a lot of VC money, angel investors, private investors, and so on, they invested in these companies left and right that just had a new website that were like pets.com, travel.com, I don't know, everything.com, which is why it's called the dot-com bubble. And they could have easily done the same statement. Silicon Valley entrepreneurs looted us for X amount of millions, and this is why the internet and the dot-coms and websites and e-commerce is never going mainstream. That would have been the statement out of this, just because a lot of people got burned in a very new and emerging state. That doesn't mean that the space cannot succeed. The same could have been said in the 2 bull runs ago. Many people have been burned in these and that altcoin projects, or this. This is why altcoin is never going to go mainstream. Well, we have a lot of altcoins where I would say now that they are pretty mainstream, even though they have maybe not reached their all-time highs again. But a lot of not a lot, but some altcoins are there. They are still here. Ethereum is one of these altcoins, ultimately altcoins, that have been there and has been constantly putting in new highs. There is Cardano, that is looking, Chainlink is an absolute blue chip altcoin. So even though that there are altcoins that went away and never came back, there are the ones that are succeeding, where people were making tremendous money and that are reaching now the stage where the VC money is sold off, and most of the money is held from a ton of different wallets, which makes it easier for new price performance. Now, let's talk about NFTs. After that, we have seen in the dot-com bubble, there are so many spaces new spaces where you could have said the same thing. I highly disagree on the statement, but I think the thread is still interesting. So, no wonder people clown NFTs and crypto. Time and time again, people put their faith into a project, but it always ends up rugging, and that's the big problem. People are just putting their faith into a project, right? And this is also something that we have seen around Ecomi and Veve. The absolutely blind faith. Instead of saying, look, I need these and that fundamentals, and then we can be bullish, right? So for Veve, for example, the fundamentals are very clear. They are constantly bringing on new licenses. Collectibles have found a base where they are still holding value or increasing in value, and there are a ton of collectibles that are not at the moment. There are new brands coming in, the app is being developed, it's performing, so I am bullish based on that on Veve and scarce Veve collectibles, because I think that liquidity will concentrate on scarce Veve collectibles. Now, people have put their faith and money into a project. That's not enough, but it always ends up rugging. That's also not true. Not all of the projects end up rugging. We have seen heavy drawdowns in Bored Ape Yacht Club, but Bored Ape Yacht Club didn't rug their users, as far as I know, at least. It still feels like a rug if you come down from over 1 million to a couple of thousand, but if the project is still developing and performing, that's not a rug. But in this sense, Recur is really, really bad. You guys remember when Veve had a bad time and everyone was shilling Recur passes because they have all the licenses and yada yada yada. I did never put a single dollar into Recur because I wasn't interested. The same goes with McFarlane Toys, by the way. I didn't put a single dollar into McFarlane Toys. I'm not interested. I put like $10 into the comics there, DC comic, but that's it. So I'm really not interested. And I'm also extremely lazy to get this stuff. Yeah. So ultimately, here's the tweet from Recur from 18th of August. Today, with heavy hearts, we must share some difficult news. After much contemplation and consideration, we've decided to deprecate the Recur platform. They had Nickelodeon and stuff like that, right? Yeah, Caro says it. Veve is the Recur is the Veve killer. What did Energy say, by the way? Hey, in the one green candle, I'm in gas, but bought only 4 million. At the one green candle, I'm in, I guess, but bought only 4 million. Oh, so you're saying that you did the pump was you? Anyways, yeah, Recur is the Veve killer. We have heard it all, and McFarlane Toys is going to take out Veve because of, yeah, right. So that's by the way, 25 people here. I really appreciate that. I really enjoy making the streams for you and with you guys. So smash up the like button as hard as you can right now to get another 25 people in here. You guys, if you smash the like button, I don't know if you know this, but if you smash the like button, I'm not kidding you, it's not a bait or something like that. The algorithm is literally saying, look, worth watching, people are liking that. If you don't, the algorithm is like, yeah, people are watching this, but they don't really like it, so I don't recommend this. So guys, please, really, to do me the favor. It's like pumping the stream by buying a like, but just that you don't have to spend money on it. So yeah, smash up the like button. I really appreciate it. It's funny because Zach Bruck, this CEO of Recur, once said, "We are here to build and do incredible things." Well, it is incredible how you can put down 70 million, right? My brother cries. All you did was loot the space for 70 million and shut down your platform. You even went to extreme and turning off replies on X. My friend Beanie had, not my friend, his friend, right? Beanie had a great take on Recur. Platforms like Recur that pumped out low effort cash grab after cash grab like Hello Kitty, Nickelodeon, Rugrats, and Star Trek have to die before the NFT market comes back. I totally agree. No, you don't. No, you don't agree. You said the space will never go mainstream. But anyways, the Beanie statement here is great. Yes, this shakeout has to happen, as it had to happen in the altcoin space. The scam, the rug projects, they have to go away. People have to lose their money. They have to learn their lesson first, and then they have to come back into the projects that are here to build and survive. Diamond Inc. says, keep it up, patient. Your info is 100. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Diamond. Makes me really happy to see that feedback. So yeah, these projects have to die for people to realize where the real value is. And if I'm not completely wrong in my mind, then the real value is Beanie is a Veve hater. Yeah, maybe, but he is right about the space, right? I mean, he is right about this, that some projects have to die. before, right? And Veve is not one of them. If I'm not completely wrong, Veve is doing these things right. They are constantly dropping. They are constantly making headlines. They constantly bring new brands. They hold the old brands. Disney is all in with Veve apparently. We have seen Star Trek launching something here. Now Star Trek sees, hey, Veve made money, right? So launching Star Trek on Veve, that made money. They made some money on Recur, but now the platform is gone, and they are now named in the rug pull space. And that is really what these licensors don't want, right? They don't want to be named probably with an official $70 million rug pull in the space, right? So chances are that if licensors see this, they see, okay, Veve is thriving. They are a money printer for Disney and for USPS and for all these other brands, right? And these other projects are not. And even they had the license, but they didn't do anything out of it, right? And the people got burned. The community is frustrated. So yeah, that's really not good. And it's also, ultimately it's not good for the space and therefore not good for Veve, but in the sense of having more brands come to Veve, that's good for Veve. But what's not good for Veve is if every competitor dies. That's just not good for the space, because that means that something is wrong with the space, right? But here, in order for the space to flourish again, we need to weed out the big celebrities and companies. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the companies, because the companies are launching on Veve. It seems to be fine, right? Shift our mindset from greed to innovation. Yeah, I think the mindset is very hard on innovation for Veve. Fight the scammers. Absolutely agree with this, but I don't think that Veve is a scam. Educate more people. That's also true. There needs to be more people educated into the space. Only then we can see the space go mainstream. What do you think we need to fix and do to go mainstream? Let me know. I think the only real thing for going mainstream is that there is a utility with the NFTs where you can implement it, where you can use it. One utility is the usability of these NFTs in Metaverse. The second one is that there's permanent upgrades to what you have been buying, that you can really use it. You cannot use a JPEG, but what you really want to see is that you can at least display it somewhere, brag with it, show it to your family and friends, show it to people on the internet. We need plugins for streamers, that I can, for example, have my collection spinning here around somewhere in the bottom of my video just by connecting a wallet, right? We need something where people can really appreciate and use it on a daily basis what they have been buying, and that will ultimately represent the value. Now, Veve collectibles, you can use them in a space. Some people have the Veveverse beta, they can use their collectibles in the Veveverse, but there's probably more to come. For Veve and for other projects, it's looking that is really what we need. And ultimately then we need liquidity and excitement coming back so that people can find these projects and that new projects can establish themselves in the space. Ebert Gonzalez says, Omi isn't really correlated to Bitcoin. That's the good news. It isn't in the shorter time frames, and we always see that the market is red, Omi is green. However, excuse me. Oh, that one was bad. So it isn't in the shorter time frames. However, if you look at the bear market, so if I go in the weekly, here it was clearly correlated to Bitcoin, right? When Bitcoin topped out, it had a relief rally just as we had in Bitcoin, and then we had the drawdown for Ecomi, just as we had it in Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto space. So is it correlated directly to Bitcoin? Probably not, because we have a lot of whale traders in Ecomi that like to trade between Bitcoin and Ecomi. So we always had green candles when Bitcoin was massively red, but now we have this turnaround. So now we have a little bit of like Ecomi getting a life of its own, like the other altcoins also, right? While Bitcoin is doing its thing, we have altcoins pumping left and right, and each altcoin pumping at their own time. It's just, and I think it's more because people have been locking in profits here on Bitcoin and distributing it into altcoins. While and we also saw this with the Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominant. Oh, by the way, Bitcoin dominance also fell here through the trend line. I didn't see that. So Bitcoin dominance actually fell through the trend line, which is ultimately good for altcoins. So if you have Bitcoin, if you have a lot of profit taking at a certain level, usually these whales are taking a part of it and put it into bigger cap altcoins, and somewhere there it trickles down into the smaller ones. So whenever this is happening, and this is something to observe, whenever this is happening, like these trend lines get broken, there's usually a good times of altcoins coming ahead. But we found support here, so probably we are going to just put in another trend. But we have dropped to sub 50% Bitcoin dominance. So we should see, though, when altcoins are pumping, profits coming back into Bitcoin to have Bitcoin rally more. But yeah, so we had the recur thread. So then there is, and I'm not going to go into this thread because I don't know much about it yet. I came back yesterday and tried to read in a little bit. Apparently, there has been some misdistribution in McFarlane Toys. Apparently, it was not authorized from McFarlane Toys in itself. Apparently, Trevor is former Veve employee, is somehow tied up into all of this, and apparently there have been like collectibles from McFarlane Toys received in the creation wallet and then listed for sale and so on. So I don't want to go into many statements, but I named the stream NFT space drama. One drama is Recur collapsing, the other drama is that something went pretty wrong at McFarlane Toys as well. And I think that is interesting to see in the light of that many people have been shitting Veve and trash talking Veve, and now in the projects that that were hyped, these also mistakes are happening, right? So I don't know how much, I don't want to go into personalities, I don't know what Trevor did or did not, we will see, but I just want to point out there is something going on in McFarlane Toys as well that needs to be clarified and sorted out. So it's not always Veve is doing everything wrong. Recur is dead. McFarlane Toys has some problems as well. Cryptoys, yeah, do we really hear something about them? They're making headlines with their little Star Wars collectibles, but that's about it. Also interoperability, where's that, right? Then we had this, and now we are at Veve. So apparently, if you created a Veve account August 18th or 19th, you got a free X-Wing. What was the conditions? Why did I have to pay 60 gems and these guys? Not obviously. If you want to attract new users, you can use some of the held back collectibles. You create a new account, you already get a collectible, feels good, right? But the problem is it's easy to abuse. The moment that someone found this out, probably a lot of bots listed their things, right? So we see here a lot of these accounts just listed the Luke Skywalker X-Wing. So a lot of people have been receiving, there were a lot of accounts with one-of-one collectibles, and the reason is that apparently this promo was going on, right? So someone also here, King Crypto, says that's why there were so many one collectible accounts selling the X-Wing. If they did not need KYC, the first person who noticed abused it. Yes, and that's true. So also not everything clear here in Veve. Then another one. Board Ape Yacht Club down 70%, Azuki down 33%, The Gods down 43% in just the last 7 days. Maximum fears in is this the bottom? Good question. interesting to see, because these drawdowns, this type of drawdown, like 70%, 33%, 43%, we didn't see that in Veve. In fact, if we are looking at the big collectibles like Miles Morales, Secret Rare, Spider-Man, like the first Spider-Man that ever dropped on Veve and so on, they have been going up in value ultimately, even though that payout is back for many, many users already. So that is a good thing. In the overall NFT space, I have to say that the collectibles on Veve, the NFTs on Veve are holding up pretty good. Also in the light, obviously, of the Veveverse, and that actually Veve is building and holding strong and did not die. So we are bullish on Veve here. I really wanted to go into this, but my time is a little bit running out, so I will only go into part of it probably. So this is from Vevemeister, a very interesting one. Today we'll learn a little bit about Estonia, where Veve registered under their company name Orbis Technology Limited OÜ in April 2023. But why Estonia? The country is known as crypto-friendly, similar to Portugal or Switzerland. Countries like Germany, France, UK are not attractive for startup companies who enter the Web3 space. I missed the last NFT Tallinn. Tallinn is, I think, the capital of Estonia. Tallinn conference, which has been renamed, yada yada. Here's more info as to why Estonia from our AI friend. So here probably just put a list together for AI. So they have the residency program, they are a EU member, they have digital infrastructure, regulatory environment is very good. Estonia has taken steps to regulate cryptocurrencies and crypto-related activities, offering a clear legal framework that provides a level of certainty for businesses operating in the sector, and then a good taxation system, flat income tax. Now, the big thing is obviously that Veve registered there under the Orbis Technology Limited. So in Estonia, probably looking at more European focus, which is a good thing in my opinion. But very good find here. Vevemeister always has some very interesting tweets, so absolutely recommended to follow him. Oh, he has 2,500 followers on Twitter. So yeah, very interesting stuff that he's putting out there. Then also noteworthy is that the Veve whale did not stop actually accumulating, just slowed down a little bit, but the one that is number one right now has already by far surpassed the 20,000 mark. After flipping Dr. Profit at around 18,000, he now is at 21,000, almost 21,600, accumulating 869 collectibles in the last 7 days. So, and we are looking at accumulation here. Accumulation is still going on, but this guy is knocking everything out of the park. And we also see that the wallet that we have once observed in the top 10 is just selling and selling and selling everything, buying, minting, but selling. So looking at, we are going to, as long as this is somewhere here in the range, we are going to observe what's really happening. But this guy is just loading off collectibles a lot, right? So we have both. We have someone who's buying extensive amounts, and we have one that is loading off. Very interesting to see that movement. Ultimately, also interesting, we have seen a spike. Let's see if this, we had seen another spike in user wallets here, 18th and 19th, driven by this X-Wing thing probably. So we have to be obviously careful about this. Let's put you guys here for now. We have to be careful when we're looking at this, not get too excited, because this jump could be bot wallets that have been coming in with and just selling. We see the sell-off here for the wallets, but we have a steady, if you see from June, we have a steady growth here in user wallets, right? So that is good to see. And if not all of them, if in fact only a couple of hundred are real users that are going to put real money into the app, then that is already pretty good, considering that there are so many collectibles that have a scarcity below 1,000. And if you get 1,000 people in, then obviously there's not enough for everyone, and there's all the old users. And once excitement is coming back, you will see how many inactive wallets are coming back and are looking at what is going on in Veve. So that is interesting. And also, if you look at market activity, the market is healthy. Every minute there are more than one transaction. There are comics transactions, collectible transactions. We see it here. There is a lot of different collectibles being bought and sold. So a lot of transaction is going on in only a couple of minutes. We see this here on Immutascan. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff in my opinion. What else do we have? Obviously, we need to look at the upcoming drops quickly. There we go. So yeah, we are going to get this Loki comic. There is this Mumbots 1-of-1 auction. So this is not a Marvel one right now. So there is this picture. By the way, does it come with a physical? I don't know. So this one, yesterday we had a little bit of problems here with the waitlist. So this one is coming now today, this drop for the Lion King. And it's an hour later than usually. So it's now at 6 for me, 6 p.m. So it's actually 9 a.m. PT. And you will get one of these pens. I'm going for the drop because I really like these collectibles. I want to have them. And yeah, so I'm going for that drop. The comic, I don't really care. I think it's not worth much. And then we also have this Hulk. Let's look at this Hulk quickly. Just without sound, because you guys know, right? We don't want to get demonetized, but here's the Hulk announcement. It's coming in tomorrow. It really gives me some World of Warcraft vibes, to be honest. I'm going for that one. I'm going for that Hulk. Let's see. But yeah, it really gives me the Loktar Ogar vibes, right? Like straight out of Orgrimmar, this beast. So yeah, when World of Warcraft collectibles, right? When World of Warcraft Veveverse integration. But yeah, this one has some green gear there, right? This one needs to loot a little bit more with this axe, but the rest looks really, really good. So I think this collectible looks good. The sound is cool. I cannot play it because of being demonetized because of 30 seconds, but just look at this video. The sound looks good. It has animation and sound, so it's going to be a desired collectible, I believe. And let's look how the scarcity looks like. Actually, I don't know. It's out already. So let's look at this. There we go, 1,800. And so this is the last Hulk. So we have the Maestro Hulk, the Red Hulk, the Planet Hulk, and then there's going to be a Hulk airdrop. Now I have the Classic Hulk, and I only have the Classic Hulk because the Red Hulk did rally really hard, and it depends a little bit on if I get the Planet Hulk on drop or not, if I have to buy the other ones, because right now I'm not going to gamble on this because only 1.8 thousand. Last time on the Red Hulk I already didn't get the drop, so yeah, we will see how the waitlist plays out for me there. But yeah, I think the collectibles are next level right now. They are really good, and it's good to see that Veve is performing in that sense in the space. I saw one more thing. This one was super funny because David Yu even retweeted this, that Hugh Jackman posted this picture and everyone's like, yo, Hugh Jackman into Omi. Dr. Prophet pointing out, hit me up, Hugh, I'm going to sort you out with one of these. So yeah, yeah, everyone's like, please be an Omi investor. But it's probably something else. I don't know what that is, or to be honest, probably is something movie related or so. But it would be funny if Hugh Jackman spikes an Omi wave. And then I also saw this, I had to laugh. So waitlist today be like, throw. That one was pretty funny. Waitlist is going to be like, yeah, throw this one away. Honestly, getting the Rafiki or the Scar, the secret rare would be also good. I think you cannot lose on this drop. Obviously, people are going to floor the hell out of these collectibles once they see that they can lock in 10 gems of profit. But if I get one, I will. It's a hodl for me. So yeah, I'm going for that one. And you don't have to go for that one. I take that that drop if you don't want. Yeah, but that's it, guys. On that note, I'll end the stream here. So thank you all for participating. Smash up the like button down below for me, and thanks for tuning in. I don't know if Gflow became a rare hodler, a channel member, then welcome to the fam. He had a red circle there, so it could be happening. I will include you then in the screen if this is the case. I will check after the stream. And yeah, everyone who is going to be a channel member, you will be on the wallpaper next stream, which is going to be tomorrow. So I see you guys tomorrow at Crypto Morning Coffee. Guys, we are heading into exciting times. I'm really excited, really happy to do these live streams with you, all of you guys. So wherever you are on the world, have yourselves a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon. Enjoy your coffees, and I see you tomorrow or in the next video.